you said, I'm senior DevOps. I'm a senior DevOps engineer at BK Tech House. So basically, when we talk about deployment and managing infrastructure, it is two terms differ, but each one need another to complete scalability and deployment in AWS. So basically, when you say deployment and managing infrastructure in AWS at scale, we need what come in mind is that we need tools and the process. When I say tools, it means AWS services like database, like code commit, like network. Yeah, we need tools for that. When I say process, it means mindset. So we have a kind of mindset of how we can deploy our infrastructure with support of tools as well, so that we can have higher availability, scalability in AWS, of course, with fault tolerance. Yeah. So how, as I said before, there is two terms we are going to discuss further in this: deployment and managing infrastructure. So when you saw deployment, it means application. What we deploy application, we deploy database. So where we deploy, how we deploy those our application, either in Java or Node.js. Writing Java or Node.js or HTML, any application, write any programming language or runtime environment. So we deploy using computer instance EC2. So we can deploy application in EC2. We can deploy application using container, Elastic Cloud Container. So it is a service AWS provided for us. We can use Kubernetes for container orchestration as well. So apart from container, we can use serverless. Serverless means you can use Lambda for deploy application. You can use Elastic Beanstalk. So those are kind of serverless. There is so many serverless. There is also Aurora. There is other serverless related to database and the machine learning. So we can deploy using autoscaling. Autoscaling means how we can deploy our application and can handle roads based on request, on HTTP request or network traffic. So we can use load balancer. Load balancer, if we have autoscaling, we can use load balancer to route our traffic between our backend services. Backend services means between our containers, serverless, EC2. So how do we manage infrastructure at scale in the AWS? As I said before, we saw how we can deploy. So let us see also how we can manage infrastructure, how we can manage where we deploy it, if I can say. So we manage infrastructure. There is so many ways we can manage infrastructure. We can use infrastructure as a code. We can use configuration management. We can monitor and logging our application or database to see if there is any failure, to see how it is behaving. We can have security and compliances. We can have resources orchestration. You can have cost management. So when I say infrastructure as a code, we can use Terraform for infrastructure as a code. So many people get confused about infrastructure and configuration management. So those differ. So for example, if I have my boss or my company needed to create 15 EC2 or 15 container or Kubernetes EKS services. So Basically, that is not an easy task to do like in a 5 minutes. But with help of infrastructure as a code, of course, there's so many, but let us say, yeah, there is so many way, but let us take example of Terraform. We can create those EC2 with one with one script. So for that example, and also for those 50 EC2, my boss need 25 to have MySQL MongoDB, and that 25 to have Nginx on it. So based on that requirement, as I said before, I can use infrastructure as a code to create those EC2 50. So I can use like Chef or Ansible script to create to install automatically MySQL on those 25 based on the requirement, and also Nginx on remaining based on that requirement. That is how I can give you that is the difference between infrastructure as a code and configuration management. So monitoring and logging, it is another part of infrastructure, because we can't sit down and we don't know what happened on our infrastructure. We don't know what happened on how our application or our database is behaving on infrastructure. We need to monitor to know exactly, to capture metrics, if it is related to usability, insight about the performance, the security. So stuff like that we can capture through monitoring and logging. So with monitoring, we can also set an alert in case there is some harmful things happen. We can get an email, a notification about how our application or database is behaving based on policy we set it. So security and the compliance, we need security in place to know either for encryption or for control our infrastructure. I can give you an example of security. There's some hackers guy which can create a script to guess password. So if we set security so that in case if that script meet five attempt, it alert, so that we have it alert, it send a notification so that we have something harmful in our application. So that is security. Resources orchestration, we said, as you said it before, we can use Kubernetes, we can use Elastic Container, Dockers, and other services, and the other container services supported in AWS. But for now, let us say ECS and AKS. Cost management it is also critical, because with auto scaling we can handle our costs, so that in case we don't have traffic, some resources can be released. So we've released some resources or reducing the resources, we can have a reduction. The cost is reduced. So because of deployment and managing infrastructure, we need, let's say we are going to have to deploy applications. So we need first of all to know how to write how to write that application. So to write application, we need integrated development environment. So IDE. There's so many we all know in our daily life, but in AWS they offer Cloud9. So Cloud9, it is a services for code editor, and then it can help to debug and run and build and also compile our source code. So Cloud9 supports so many tools, so many programming languages. It supports Python, it supports JavaScript, it supports Java, it supports Ruby, it supports C, it supports many popular programming language. So Cloud9 help us for code editor in a brief. So how does Cloud9 works? So Cloud9 providing us a web interface. So if I can jump to the diagram, to this diagram, it provides a web interface where you can edit your source code, then you can commit source code to code commit. So code commit we will see it in the following slide. So yeah, so let me create code Cloud9 and so we can see how it look like. So we can logging into AWS console and we search for Cloud9. Basically it is a code editor. So we can go to create environment, press create environment. So we give a name, let us go test Cloud9. So can have description. So you can launch it on new EC2 or any computer because if you saw for my slide, you can connect your Cloud9 to the computer. So let us use the new EC2. I want to choose a 3 tier because I want to be charged for this. Then let us use SSH. Then we can, if necessary, we can choose. You can choose a VPC. You can choose subnet. It depends on the requirement. So press create because on my side I have only one VPC. So press open. So that is how Cloud9 look like. Okay, let us take some few minutes so that you can complete with this. But if there is someone who had a question, I'm happy to respond as we are waiting for this service to be created. Yeah, it is created. If you are able to see in my dashboard, you see it creates an easy tool for us. And if you check, it is normal editor. You can create, you can add new file. You can add new file, create a new file, can call it. You can paste any HTML files in the. You can also. It is integrated with GitHub source code management. you can push, you can initiate, you can push your source code to source code management. Yeah, that is it, how Cloud9 look like. You can debug, you can compile your source code, depend on the programming language you are working on. So I think that is for Cloud9. Any question, please? Hello?
Yeah, yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, actually, I have a question. I just want to know why would someone choose to use Cloud9 instead of using a local IDE?
Yeah, it depends. As I said, it depends on the company requirement. Yeah, because so many company prefer to use AWS, full AWS services. So if it is a company policy, it is not someone willing. It is a somehow company policy. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. So that is it for Cloud9. So also AWS have something, have SDK for compile. It is a runtime. It is a running time for compile JavaScript, Python, .NET, any application. Yeah, but that is how SDK works. It have a command line interface. It have a cloud formation template. It compile those kind of programming language. That's what it supports. But for example, if I can say something, you may have IDE because, for example, we all use VS Code in our daily life, some of us. So, but if we will see or not or Notepad, but those are editor. You can use any editor in your daily life working. But remember, if you are working on Java application, we need Java to compile our application. So like this SDK, it is for compiling source code managers, for compiling source code. It is a greater for Docker and also Kubernetes and Lambda function. So for next, let us go to code commit. As I said before, I want to go process by process from code from development up to deployment, even if our topic is about deployment and managing infrastructure. So let us see the whole process, what we need, what tools we need to complete this process. I start with development from code, editing code. So after getting source code, so for management purpose and the team collaboration, we need code commit as version control to save our source code, to push for team collaboration where I can assign any task to any developer. After after getting developed, the developer can push those source code to code commit. It basically it is for version control and source code management. This one it is example of if we are familiar. Some of us we are using GitLab or GitLab or GitHub or other source code management. Code commit is a type of that. Yeah, it is for source code management. So after pushing our source code to code commit, there is also another service you call code build. Code build. So it check if there is any change to code commit and for code build it compile, it run run unity test. uh, yeah, basically it compile, run unity test, and analyze, compile and run unity test, and code be ready to be deployed. So for code build, you pay as you go pricing, and it is for continuous scalability and high availability. So for next, let us see code pipeline. So we pushed our source code to code commit, and we have code build in place. So there is no any communication between those services. We need code pipeline for orchestration purpose, to orchestrating our code commit with code build, as well as to code deploy. So code pipeline, it is for CI/CD. So as you go further for DevOps or for another career path, so we look more about this code, how CI/CD works. But for the agenda of this topic, code pipeline, it is orchestrating the process from code commit to code deploy. So it is continuous checking if there is any change to code commit, the run build, compile, unity test, then use code deploy to deploy to Elastic Beanstalk, to EC2, to EKS, to ECS, to any AWS services. It is a provisioning as well. So let us so what is called artifacts. So after code, if you go to the previous slide, if we commit code are compiled and build using code build with of code, and deploy. So at this point, the code artifact take a place and play a role for artifacting our source code so that we can deploy to Elastic Beanstalk. So basically, code artifact, it reduces the package dependency. So if we are using like npm in our development environment, or we are using Maven or Gradle or Yarn or Pipe, so code artifact help us to reduce that dependency. It help us to create a source code so that can be ready to be deployed. So there's another service also called Code Star. Code Star, it combine the previous services you saw. It combine, if you want to create all those services once without creating one by one, it is better to use Code Star. It helps us to create code commit, code build, code pipeline, as well as code artifact. That is. Mhm. Hello? Any question?
Uh, I don't think
Okay.
it is. I think it
Maybe.
was someone
Okay.
who
Okay.
was unmuted.
Yeah. 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 Sure. So that is about the process. Basically, this process is about AWS. If you want to go further about this topic, it is recommended to choose AWS code, AWS developer, or AWS DevOps. You will go further about this, how we can create the whole automated the process. So for us, I try to tackle one by one how is important in our process so that we have a clear visibility for cloud partitioner, what we want about this developer process. So after code start, we need to deploy our application. So where can we deploy application? As I said before, we can deploy in EC2, we can deploy in a Beanstalk, we can deploy in ECS, we can deploy in EKS. Those are kind of deployment services AWS offer for us. So I didn't tackle all of them because of, as I said, because of the agenda, and also there is also the other topic which covered about, we will cover about containers, and also we covered about EC2. So I chose Elastic Beanstalk so that you can get also some hint about it. So it is another deployment services which AWS offer for us, which support Go, Java, Node.js, Python, Ruby, and yeah. So let us create code star so that you can show how it works. Go to ECS, go to AWS services, and you search for code. First of all, we can create a project. So choose template. If you have template, we let us choose EC2. We select a programming language you want to work on. Let us choose HTML by default. You go to next. You select the project name. Let us say project. So project height. So where we want to store our source code, either select GitHub or code commit. So because we are in AWS services, it's better let us go with code commit as our source code management. If you want, you have so many VPC you can choose. So key pair, I have one here, but if you don't have, you can create key pair and you select it here from here. Then because there's too many ways you can use for cloning of source code, either HTTP or SSH. So this key pair can help also for SSH our EC2 because here we choose EC2. Press next. Let us select subnet. Default to our availability zone. So then we create a project and we store our project to code commit. Let us take a moment to see if it is created. Yeah, it is created. So if you are able to see on this dashboard, So there's two things here we can highlight. If we check, we can able to configure from here our IDE, our editor, either Visual Studio, Eclipse, command line interface, but for us, because we are trying to use our AWS services, let us go for Cloud9. So from here, you can set Cloud9, give it a name. Let's call it Cloud9 as can give a description, it is optional, then you can create. Sorry. Once it's created, we can be able to browse to it. It is still under creating process. So yeah, but when you take a look, we can, yeah. So you can be able to see the themes and settings. So because code commit help us to create code star help us to create code commit. If I scroll down, you can see our code commit URL. So which you can use to crawl, can open, and if you go, you can set up team so that in case you have a team collaboration, because as I said, code commit help for team. It is a version control and for source code management as well. You can be able to work as a team so that you can collaborate. You can assign a task to any of our team member. So yeah, that is how our code star dashboard look like. So basically that is a sample of our project. If we go for our repository we created, see this is code commit. So you can create a branch into from that you see we are working on master branch. We can create another branch. We can tag. We can configure pull request as well as merge request. Yeah, pretty much that is it about code commit, code star, and code build. So if there is anyone has a question about those AWS developer AWS services, can ask. Yeah, the discussion is open, and yeah, that is it about this.
Good morning.
Good
So if
morning.
I would like to practice this, any idea on the costing? For instance, do they charge according to maybe the lines of code you run on this Cloud9, so that I know
Yeah,
Understand?
Cloud
Very well.
Nine is yeah, Cloud Nine is free, but code commit you will be charged based on the number of teams you have in your project. Because if I remember very well, if you have more than 5 team member on one project, and you have like if it is 5 GB or 10, you will be charged for code commit. Yeah, but if is for simple project for practice code commit, I think one project for testing and practice cannot even get 5 GB. 5 GB are enough if it is 5. But that's what I can say about the service.
Okay. So so more like since I am going to practice it on my own without any team, and it's going to be a simple project that shouldn't be up to 5 gig. I may not
Yeah,
expect to incur a cost, right?
yeah, will not be charged. Yeah, and again, I saw this policy. It is the same because AWS tried to adopt this policy, but also GitLab have been applied this policy as well. If you have more than 5, and I think it is 10 GB for project, the whole project you have, you will be charged. Yeah, but if it is a simple project for one person or two for collaboration to see how version control can be used for collaboration, team collaboration, for assigning task and ticket. I think that is it is a free. It is a free. Will not be charged. Another question. But also, oh, if I'm able to spell your name very well, if it's Hilary, because some of those services like they create an instance for us. You have to check the way you are creating them, because if we go for EC2 dashboard, you find that there is other instance to create those services create for us. So you make sure the way you are managing those instances, so none is created. Yeah, you see, Hilary,
Yeah,
Em-
yeah,
Emeka, yeah,
yes.
yeah. If you're able to see my dashboard, you see those instances are created. So make sure, pay attention on that. So even if they said it's free, but you saw it is a created instance for us, I think it is better also to shut down this instance if you are no longer using them. But if you try to delete like code star, it will automatically delete those instances we created. It created for us. Even Elastic Beanstalk create instance for you, even if you don't want. So I think you have to play around this how these instances it is creating in the background. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you too. Okay. You see, even the Cloud9, yeah, those are instances created for us. Yeah. Any other question, please?
Hello, sir. I had a question.
Mm.
Yes, so my query was, I don't know whether we're able to use code deploy so that we're able to get the full the like something. I don't know whether it's code deploy and code pipeline to get, so that maybe when we do a commit using Cloud9, it is automatically, as in, now that it triggers a build and a deploy or something, because I think you
Yeah,
mentioned about automation. Yes.
yeah. I said for the secret of for the agent of this session, I didn't go further on automation. So I tried to give you an overview of how this works from code commit to code deploy. So as I said before, code build, it is a service. So, but we want to make sure to work with code we push to code commit. For that, we want another service behind, which is called code pipeline, so that it works for CI, continuous integration. It check if there is any change on code commit, then it code build trigger build run unit test. That is how those three services works. Yeah. And even code deploy, it doesn't know what is going what code build is doing. So we need code pipeline between, so that to check if the code are ready to be deployed and it deploy. That is how code pipeline works if I go back to the diagram. So I didn't go more on this because it is AWS Cloud Partitioner. You need to know services, uh, yeah, how services works. But if you want to go further in the DevOps, and also for I think the after Cloud Partitioner, you can go for solution architecture or developer. So for developer, you go more in deep about how it works, more in deeper. For DevOps, you go on automation parts. But for this session, we are kind of getting an overview how service works. Yeah, but I can create one for you, but it's not a full CI/CD. Maybe we can plan. Maybe said Cynthia is on call or Daniel. We can plan another session about full CI/CD with this DevOps with AWS services, because we have another session as well about container. It will be the next one. So I recommend everyone to continue or attend this session, so that after, so because we understand each services and how it works. So after container and the EKS and the monitoring session, so all of us will be in the same page, so that we can tackle about the whole process. How can we automate the whole process? Yeah, because we are not at the same level, all of us. Yeah, that's what I can say. Maybe Cynthia will plan, and Daniel and also other reads. We can note and we will look at it. Isn't it, Cynthia and the team?
Yeah, definitely. I've added it to the topics to cover after the bootcamp, so we'll make sure um to organize a session after the bootcamp to dive deeper into this.
Yeah. We can start by CI/CD because there's so many guys here interested in DevSecOps, and also we can after we can look how we can implement security into our process so that for checking any vulnerabilities. Yeah, thank you for that, Cynthia.
Okay, so I have one more question. I wanted to know, according to you, in terms of infrastructure as code and your work as a DevOps engineer, uh, which are the ones do you mostly use, and maybe what would be your advice, especially using maybe cloud formation, CDK, Terraform, and all that?
Yeah, it depends on for me most of the time when I choose the tools to use. There's so many criteria I refer on. So first, is that tools I'm going to use, is it popular? It have community support. When I said community support, can I have so many resources which can support me in case I get for me cloud formation and Terraform, or most of them work as the output of what he has. It is the same. But personally, I use Terraform. But if you want, because it is infrastructure as code, it is for provisioning. You can choose whatever you want. But my recommendation is this: you choose the tools because you have a mindset of what you are going to do. Choose to choose the tools it have a large community and the blogs to support your requirement. That's what I can say. I don't know if I respond to your
Yes.
question correctly.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Because you will find there is so many tools in the DevOps in this development life cycle. There is so many want to achieve at the same. But when you look at the community, you look at the blogs, you look at the support, so you find that they are not at the same level. Some are mature on market, others are still young. So you have to balance on that. There's another question.
Uh, I think there's none. I think there's none. Ange. Maybe you can proceed.
Okay. So guys, I think this is the end of my session. The team, thank you for your coming, and thank you for your crime. So it is a pleasure to present about this. If we have any question regarding about this process, how feel free. You can ping me either on groups or also for any, especially on LinkedIn. I will I will be able to support and to respond. Thank you very much. Daniel, the floor is yours. So, Daniel.
Yeah. Ange, thank you for the wonderful presentation. Hope you guys got a glimpse of how you can start and leverage the capabilities that AWS provides in regards to deploying and scaling your infrastructure uh, at scale. I think Ange touched on a lot of, I would say, all the critical components of this process, uh, both in terms of development, in terms of uh, testing your codes and things like creating artifacts for your project, converting those into Docker images, doing uh, basically the whole CI/CD pipeline, and also the development of the application itself. So, Ange, thank you for that. It was a really insightful conversation. I don't know if there is anyone with a question, maybe something he or she forgot to ask. Now is the time. But if there are none, maybe I think we can proceed with the Kahoot on the agenda of today. Okay. Yeah, so I think we can proceed with the Kahoot if there's no more questions. And as Anne said, please reach out to him on the socials. He is on LinkedIn. And I believe he is one of the people for me that I know who have, let's say, as he said, maturity. So he have maturity in this field, and we thank him for the wonderful session. So let's proceed with the Kahoot. Then- Okay. Yeah. Is this in the chat? So you can tell me when this one, when as soon as you can see this one. So I've pinned the link to the Kahoot. Share my screen. Okay, I see Eric. Okay, guys. I see Eric. Who else? I see Zainab. I hope I didn't butcher that one. Zainab. Okay. Okay. I see Kevin. Okay. Okay, let's give it some more few minutes. Then we proceed. So I see 4 people. Lily as well. That's 5. Okay, so Ange, did you see this the message in the chat? So they are saying that the shared presentation asks for access. So feel free to share that one as well. So I can see Hilary, I see Aris, I see Kevin, Zainab, and Eric. Okay. Yeah, I think. Okay, I think we can proceed. So let's start our
So
Kahoot.
the documents.
Yeah, Ange? Sorry, Ange, you were saying?
I guess it's Hillary. Hi, Hillary.
Oh, it's here. Okay. Sorry, I didn't catch you well there.
Okay, wait. I think Hillary has also left the Kahoot. I don't know if it's what he wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think he has some internet connection
Oh, okay.
issues.
Okay, no worries, man. Okay, no worries then. Maybe we can proceed. So let's start, as I was saying, let's start today's Kahoot. So this one will take into consideration what we saw today and a bit of what we saw last time. So good luck to you. So let's start. Okay, so what is the name of a central repository to store, structure, and operational metadata for data assets in AWS Glue? So this takes into consideration what we saw last time from the database session with Uncle. Yeah, so the answer is Glue Data Dictionary. I can see a majority got this one right. And yeah. So next, question number 2, which AWS service is a cloud-based integrated IDE for writing, running, and debugging code? So I believe Ange touched a lot more on this. And yeah, so this, so is it AWS Lambda? Is it Elastic Beanstalk? Cloud9 or code pipeline? Yeah, I see the majority got this one right. Congratulations, guys. So question number 3. Which AWS service is commonly used in conjunction with CodeStar to automate the building and deployment of code changes? Okay, so let's review this together. I can see only one got it right. So the question goes like, which AWS service is commonly used in conjunction with CodeStar to automate the building and deployment of the code changes? So here they are referring to the service which mainly focuses on this, on the automation of the building and deployment of the code changes. So this is in regards to the CI/CD pipeline in general. So let's start with code commit. So this one is the service where you can commit your changes, right? Here they are saying that you need to automate. They are referring to the service which deals with building and deployment of the code changes, not the one where the code changes are hosted. So so with this being said, we discard code commit. Let's go to code build. So code build can be to make the building and deployment of the code changes. So code build can be used, but here they are referring to two things: the building and the deployment of those code changes. Also code deploys in regards to deploying only. So which service takes these two into consideration? So the right answer is code pipeline, because they have that capability of doing the building and deployment of the code changes. So let's go to the next question. Question number 4. Which exclusive DynamoDB feature is an in-memory cache that can improve your performance up to 10 times? Yeah, I see the majority got this right. So it's DynamoDB access. Question number 5. Which AWS service is always serverless and has SQL capabilities? Is it RDS? Is it DynamoDB? Is it Athena? Is it Aurora? Which one is it? Okay, so I see the majority said Athena. So one reason why this question was blocked in this Kahoot of today is because a majority last time sorry.
Yeah, sorry, continue. Sorry.
Okay, Hilary, it's okay. So as I was saying, this question was included in today's Kahoot because the majority didn't get it right last time. So here they are referring to a serverless service which have SQL capabilities. So the keyword here too, serverless and SQL. So let's begin with RDS. So RDS definitely have SQL capabilities, but it's not serverless. It's not serverless per se. So let's go with DynamoDB as well. DynamoDB is serverless, but it doesn't have SQL capabilities. Let's go to Aurora. So Aurora have SQL capabilities, but it doesn't have serverless capabilities. So the service which which have the same capabilities as Aurora and have the serverless capabilities added on that is Aurora serverless. So here the service which best fits this the mentioned capabilities is Athena, because it's both serverless and SQL capable. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's why this one is the right answer. So I hope you
Excuse me.
Yeah. So
Like I want to understand why why RDS is not serverless.
So RDS, with RDS, I believe you have to when you're, let's say you have deployed or you have created your RDS instance. If this one, let's say, goes beyond the set threshold, you have to manually, or you have to set it before time on how you have to auto scale with that one. So the thing with the serverless services is that you don't need to deal with that. You don't need to deal with, let's say, increasing the number of your servers or increasing the compute power, anything which you like, the things that you have to do on your end are they are limited, basically. That's why they are called serverless. So AWS deals with managing the servers for you, and you only profit what the service is to offer. So with RDS, you don't have this one. RDS is basically, it's kind of the same as any C2 instance. It's just that it's how do I say this? It's just made specifically for a DB, but it's just like any normal instance. With serverless services, you basically don't need to deal with instances. You only need to deal with the upper layer of that service, which you only use for the things you basically want. I don't know if I answered that one right, Eric.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Maybe I will share with you some more documentation on this. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's what a serverless and, let me say, a non-serverless service differ from. So question number 6. How does AWS Elastic Cloud9 facilitate collaborative development? Yeah. So first, it doesn't support collaborative development. It provides a built-in video conferencing tool. It allows multiple users to share an IDE, and it only supports collaboration through GitHub. Yeah, so as we saw, Cloud9 is just an IDE which you can access on the browser. So with this one, basically different people can work on the same IDE as long as you have access on that IDE. So that's one of the key advantages of using Cloud9 as your IDE. So multiple users can share the same IDE environment in real time. I see the majority got this one right as well. So question number 7, which AWS service can be used to store and manage your source code repositories and be integrated with AWS code pipeline? Okay, I see half got this one right, another half got this one wrong. So as I said previously in the other question, you just have to identify what the keyword is in the question that you're being asked. So as you guys are preparing for the CCP exam, that's mainly what defines which answer you're going to pick. So here the keyword is manage your source code repositories and be integrated with AWS code pipeline. So you're looking for a code repository. And as I said, so code build is for the building process. Code deploy is for the deployment process. So code artifact is where you store your artifacts, let's say your images or anything like that. So code commit is like your GitHub, if I may say, your normal GitHub. So it's where you store your commit. And code pipeline combines both code. So code pipeline basically combines these three stages, both the build, the deployment, and the commit aspect in the development and deployment of your application. So the keyword here was the code repository, and in the answer given, which one actually highlights this one. So that's one thing that I can add on this. I hope you guys got it. So we move to question number 8. Which AWS service is an immutable ledger database? Is it Inspector? Is it EML? Is it QLDB or managed blockchain? So this one was there in the last Kahoot, and I can see the majority got it right for those who attended. And yeah, the answer is QLDB. So let's move. What is code pipeline used for? Yeah, definitely. So I can see all of you guys got this one right. So as I was saying, code pipeline takes into consideration all the three processes: the building, the testing, and deployment of your application. And this one, with this one being said, it relies on the other services that we saw. It can integrate with code commit, it can integrate with code build, it can integrate with what was the other one? So there's code build, there's code commit, and code deploy. So it integrates with all this one to streamline the whole process. So yeah, let's go to question number 10. Which DB is managed service with SQL capabilities suited for online transaction processing, or OLTP? Is it MySQL on EC2? Is it Redshift? Is it RDS or DynamoDB? Oh, okay. So I see. Okay, so this question was also there in the last Kahoot, and we brought it up again because the I would say majority, not the majority per se, but a lot of people got it wrong. So as I said, you take into consideration where the keyword is. So here the keyword is SQL capabilities suited for transaction processing, but mainly SQL capabilities. So if you were to go on this one, let's start with MySQL in EC2. So this one is not a DB service per se. So you can automatically discard that one. So Redshift is a data warehouse, and DynamoDB doesn't have SQL capabilities. So that's why here RDS is the best answer to go with. And yeah, but I see half of the group got it right, so it's a good thing. Hope the other half also got why this one is the right answer. So we go to question number 11. Which AWS service can be integrated with code pipeline to perform automated testing of your application? Is it Elastic Beanstalk? Is it code commit? Is it code build? Is it AWS Lambda? Oh, this is okay. So I see 1 out of 4 actually got this one right. So yeah, as I was mentioning, so if you were to see the keyword here is the service which can integrate with code pipeline to automate the testing of your application. So we saw that we have 3 services which can integrate with code pipeline. There's code build, there's code commit, and there is code deploy. So you basically need to see what does each of these services do in or integrate with code pipeline to do, or what does it take into, what does it deal with in that code pipeline process. So let's start with code commit. Code commit is where you host your source codes, the ones which defines how your application looks like and everything. So that's code commit. Then we have code build. So code build is the one which you use to both build and test your application. So you build you test your application, then build an image which you're going to deploy. So deploying that application, that's where code deploy comes into picture. So I hope at least you got the idea of how the process is, and I believe Ange actually referred to this one during his presentation. So yeah, that's why code build is the best option here. So Elastic Beanstalk is a service on its own where you can basically do everything, all those what we said. You can use Elastic Beanstalk to deal with that with an added addition of actually also deploying, like hosting those ones on the servers. Elastic Beanstalk can deal with that. So code commit is where you store your code, like your code, your code, the one which defines how your application will look like, just like any normal code repository. So this one is the repository. So code build is the one which you use for your I would say your CI. Yeah, so this one is for your CI process. So code build, I would say that's where the one which deals with the building and the testing of your code, the testing and building of your code into something to be deployed. And Lambda, yeah, Lambda is another service which actually I would say doesn't have anything to do with the automating and basically with the deployment of your code per se. So yeah, I see Kevin is on top with Zainab and Eric following Hilali, then Aris. So we go to question number 12. What is AWS code artifact? Yeah, I see all of you got this one right. So it's a managed service for storing, sharing, and distributing software packages. I remember Ange touched on this one. during his presentation as well. So yeah, I can see Kevin is on top, Zainab, Eric, Kigali, yeah, and Iris. So which of the following AWS service can be managed using AWS Cloud Formation? Yeah, see the majority also got this one, right? So Cloud Formation basically helps with managing your infrastructure as a code. So you can use it to deploy basically everything, or to deploy and configure everything per se. I remember Ange touched into its, like it's another tool which works like CloudFormation, which is Terraform. So they are all used for infrastructure, for managing your infrastructure as a code. So you can basically manage anything on AWS with CloudFormation. So yeah. Question number 14. So what is the primary role of AWS Elastic Beanstalk? Okay, so I see half got this one right, another one half got it wrong. So the reason why, so what Elastic Beanstalk stands for is to, I would say, it's to take away that hassle of dealing with your EC2 server. So let's say you want to deploy a Node.js application, or a Java application, or a Django application, any other technology that you can use. So you want to deploy it, but you don't want to deal with the hassle of going and deploy that one on an EC2 server, then go and configure the process of, maybe let's say, auto scaling. You don't want to deal with that. You don't want to also deal with managing the storage, basically things like those. You don't want to create the web server, because this one is just the application server. You also need to configure the web server. You need to configure the everything, basically all those things. So Elastic Beanstalk takes that hassle away, and you only deal with creating your application. Then Elastic Beanstalk goes ahead and manage that one for you in terms of the infrastructure. So at least I hope I got to explain this one a bit better, and why this one is the correct answer. So question number 15, which AWS service can be integrated with Beanstalk to enable CI/CD capabilities? Lambda, Code Pipeline, AWS Glue, or AWS Kinesis? Yeah, so I see the majority got this one right. So the answer, yeah, is Code Pipeline. So we saw that Code Pipeline takes into integrates basically with more than 3 services. So we have Code Commit, we have Code Build, and Code Deploy. So Code Deploy is for the CD, or the continuous deployment capability of your application. So that one is dealt with Code Deploy. So your CI capabilities, or the continuous integration of your application, that one is dealt with Code. So Code Deploy is for your CD, or your continuous delivery capabilities. Code Build is for your CI, or your continuous integration capabilities. I would say also Code Commit is part of the CI process, because that's where you get that's where code build gets the code from which it's going to test and then build the image to deliver to the code deploy, which is going to deploy that one on Elastic Beanstalk. So code pipeline is that service which streamlines the whole process and makes it unified per se. So I hope you got a glimpse of this one. Question number 16, which AWS service enables you to set up automatic scaling for your web application hosted on Elastic Beanstalk? Yeah, so I see all of you got this one right. I remember Ange touched on this during his presentation. So how do we scale our Elastic Beanstalk? How do we scale, like, let's say our Elastic Beanstalk stack? So how do we scale that one? So yeah, you can define an auto scaling, then Elastic Beanstalk goes ahead and deals with that. Okay, so question number 17. What types of packages can you store in AWS code at BAT? Okay, so I see all of you got this one right as well. So yeah, it's a wide range of packages, including Maven, NPM, and the list. I remember also Ange touched on this one. So yeah. So I can see Kevin is on top, Zainab following Eric, Hilary, then Aris. So question number 18, what is CloudFormation stack? Okay, yeah, can see all of you got this one as well. So a CloudFormation stack is a collection of resources created and managed by CloudFormation. And one thing that I can add is that CloudFormation is one of the topics which are like asked in the exam. So compared to the other one, I would say it's definitely something to look into more. So yeah, Kevin, we still have Kevin, Zainab, Eric following on the third place. Hirali, then Aris. So question number 19, what AWS service offers a unified interface for streamlined software development? Okay, so I can see, yeah, the majority got this one, right? So here the keyword is that unification of all the things you need in your software development, let's say, process. So all those things, which is that K1 service which can help you with that. So both the creation of your, so let's say the creation of the code, the writing of the codes, the testing of your codes, the bundling up of your codes to create an image, the deploying of those codes. So which is that service which offers that unification? So yeah, CodeStar is the right answer here. So yeah. Okay. So let's go to the last question. I see Kevin is on top. Eric is on, yeah, Eric is on second. Zainab, Eric, Hirali, sorry. Hirali and Iris. So last question. What is the primary language used to define AWS cloud format and templates? So when defining your cloud formation templates, so the language that you use or the language that cloud formation and I believe also a lot of other infrastructures as a code tools, other tools you can use to define your infrastructure as a code. I would say, yeah, many of them use YAML. So YAML basically translate to YAML-oriented markup language. So yeah, I believe that's it for today. We can see our winners. So Zainab is on the third position, sorry. So Eric following that, then Kevin. So thank you guys. As I said, today's session was kind of touched on a lot of things that touched on a lot of things that AWS offers in regards to the whole CI/CD process and also on the DevSec aspect of it. Maybe I don't know, maybe Ange didn't touch on this one a lot, but this session shows a glimpse of how that whole process is, because DevSecOps we have that dev as part of the SecOps, as part of the DevSecOps process. So as I said, yeah, it was a very insightful session. And one thing that I can add is for those who want to read more about this one, because this one covers a lot in terms of DevOps per se, for those who plan for the career and for careers as DevOps, but for all the others as well. This was a really insightful session, and yeah, I believe we can call it a day if there is no other question. Cynthia, do you have anything to add?
Not really, but I would say thank you, Daniel and Ange, for an amazing session and for you moderating it. Maybe what I would say would be the challenge that I recently talked about in the group, that we're about to start challenges every week so that people can gain experience. We had initially said that we use AWS Educate, but we found another free and even easier way, which is AWS Cloud Quest. I don't know if anyone has heard about the AWS Cloud Quest, but it's a fun and interactive role-playing game that we can use to gain some experience. So I'll share more information in the group and hopefully we'll start this week. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you, Daniel and Ange and everyone who was able to attend.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Cynthia. So guys, thank you for attending today's session. I hope we as the team and everyone actually got something in this one. For me, in my case, I learned a lot. I actually got to see some of the things that I wasn't familiar with. And I hope the same also applies for the others as well. So yeah, thank you for participating. And as Cynthia said, so take a look into the Cloud Quest as a way to prepare for your CCP exam. And yeah, so guys, have a wonderful day. I believe for many, we are in the afternoon. So Kevin, you're not the only one now who is in the afternoon. So Hilal as well, Eric, Zainab, and the rest of the team, basically. So thank you guys for attending. See you next time. Okay, so I see a question in the chat. Also request we have a cloud formation session after the bootcamp. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, this is a good request. Yeah, so yeah, this is a wonderful request. I hope Cynthia got this one. So okay, yeah, I think we can look into that one after. But yeah, thank you for the bringing this up. Okay, so I see we have Catalyst from Senegal. So yeah, Catalyst, thank you for joining. I hope you guys are not in the afternoon yet. So have a wonderful day as well. For the rest, have a wonderful afternoon and the rest of the day to come. So see you next week.
Bye, everyone.